On Valentine's Day, Oliver abandoned me by the roadside while I was burning with a 40-degree fever. This time, it was because his white Moonlight's dog went missing. That day, I got into a car accident, not too serious but not minor either. I remember everything from my childhood, yet I've completely forgotten the man I deeply loved for 7 years. Later, everyone said that Oliver, the once untouchable tycoon of City A, had gone mad. Clutching a stack of worthless papers, he humbly begged for his wife's forgiveness. But that girl never once looked back. I lost my memory. So when Oliver came to take me home, I mistook him for a human trafficker. I scratched and bit him, and concerned bystanders immediately called the police for me. At the police station, Oliver negotiated with the officers with a dark expression. I stood warily 5 meters away from him, pointing at him and whispering, "Officer, he's a trafficker trying to kidnap me and sell me into the mountains. Arrest him quickly." The officer patiently explained, "Lucy, Oliver really is your husband. You've been married for 7 years. Impossible. I don't even know him. Besides, I've never even been in a relationship, how could I be married?" The police officer gave me a sympathetic look. "Lucy, we've contacted your attending physician. The car accident caused you some memory loss, but it's only temporary. With proper rest and recovery, there's still hope for your memories to return." How could I possibly have amnesia when I can even remember what I had for dinner last night? Based on my experience and intuition, I remember everything that's ever happened to me since childhood. The only thing I've forgotten is him. He must have done something to wrong me. At this thought, I glared sternly at the man. Oliver turned around and saw my expression, then angrily averted his face in frustration. After completing the police statement, Oliver walked toward me looking utterly exhausted and snapped, "Come on, let's go home." The police showed me all of Oliver's documents, including our marriage certificate. Only then did I have to accept that this intimidating-looking man was actually my husband. But no matter how hard I racked my brains, I still couldn't remember anything. It felt as if someone had silently carved out every memory related to him from my mind. After getting in the car, I pressed myself against the door, trying to keep as far away from him as possible, as though he were some kind of terrifying monster. Oliver let out an angry laugh at the sight. "Lucy, I don't care what game you're playing or whether your amnesia is real or fake. I don't have time for this. You'd better not cross the line again, or else." A threat-laden warning. At this moment, I became even more certain this man didn't love me. The police told me the reason for my car accident was that this bastard abandoned me by the roadside after answering a phone call, while I was burning with a 40 degrees Celsius fever. In my dazed state, I collided with a speeding car. Though not severely injured, I lost fragments of my memory. I couldn't help but wonder, what kind of urgent call could make him discard his sick wife by the roadside, leaving me to fend for myself? What a world-class scumbag. At this thought, I smirked at him with derision. "Since I don't even remember you anymore, this marriage is pointless. How about you spare some time, and we file for divorce?" Oliver's gaze shot over like an arrow. "That day I just left for a moment because something came up, and you actually threatened me with divorce. Do you really think Oliver can't live without you?" I blinked innocently. "I never thought that." "So, sir, when shall we schedule the divorce?" Oliver didn't respond. He vented all his anger on the car, speeding wildly down the road while I silently tightened my grip on the overhead handle. I mentally gave him this evaluation: moody and unpredictable. I couldn't help but wonder, why did I ever marry such a man in the first place? After returning home, Oliver threw his coat on the sofa and rubbed his temples. "I'm hungry. Go make me something to eat." So demanding, as if it's only natural. I must have put up with a lot from you in the past. Oliver was dumbstruck by my sudden, out-of-nowhere remark. Once he processed it, he gritted his teeth in anger. "Lucy, you're my wife. So what?" I widened my eyes, staring straight at him without blinking. After a long silence, he seemed to finally remember I'd lost my memory. Picking up his coat, he said, "Forget it, I'll eat out." Without thinking, I replied, "Then bring me something when you come back." Oliver's departing footsteps hesitated slightly. When he turned to look at me, his eyes were full of absurdity and disbelief. Embarrassed, I waved my hand. Never mind if you can't, I'm not that hungry anyway. Oliver laughed in exasperation, strode to the door, and slammed it shut with force. I was startled. Patting my frightened little heart, I silently deducted more points from him in my mind. I walked around the house, feeling nothing but unfamiliarity. The wardrobe contained only gray, white, and pink clothes, clearly not my taste, likely chosen to please that bastard. The entire home was decorated in black and white, devoid of any warmth. I scrolled through my phone but couldn't find a single photo of Oliver and me together. Even our text exchanges were strictly businesslike. Most of the time, I was the one talking, while he replied with 1 or 2 words at his leisure, acting like some entitled lord. I rolled my eyes dramatically. Seems I wasn't wrong about him after all. Over the years, I'd truly endured quite a bit of his temper. Suddenly my phone rang. The moment I answered, my best friend Hannah's anxious voice came through. "Lucy, what's going on? You haven't answered calls for days, didn't reply to any messages either?" I explained about the car accident and memory loss. There was silence on the other end for a beat. Then came the urgent sound of slippers scraping against the floor and jingling keys. "Wait there, I'm coming over right now." Half an hour later, Hannah circled me curiously several times. "Lucy, you really lost your memory? Then do you still remember me? I'm your best friend, you know." I chuckled and patted her head. "Of course I remember, it's just that I seem to have forgotten Oliver, and I don't remember us being married either." Hannah was only taken aback for a moment before cupping my face and exclaiming dramatically, "Oh my God, my wish finally came true. Not long ago, I made a wish. I wished for you to forget that scumbag. I never thought it would actually come true. Tomorrow, I'm going to fulfill my vow of gratitude. From now on, it's my one and only God." I burst out laughing at her antics. But after laughing, I grew even more puzzled. Just how badly had Oliver treated me to make Hannah despise him this much? Later, I learned from Hannah about the 7 years between Oliver and me. How should I put it? 2 words sum it up: suffocating. According to Hannah, I once saved Oliver's grandfather. At that time, Oliver was going through a breakup with his girlfriend, who swiftly moved on and found a mixed-race partner to accompany her abroad. To compete with her out of spite, Oliver impulsively confessed his feelings to me. We were only together for half a month before he proposed. I had fallen for him at first sight and was so overwhelmed by this happiness that I married him without a second thought. After marriage, I hid all my sharp edges for him, striving to be a dutiful and virtuous wife and mother. Yet, he was hot and cold with me, often taking out his frustrations from his ex-girlfriend on me. During those years, he had to travel abroad every month. Each time he returned, he was completely drunk. Until a year ago, when Victoria came back to the country. Oliver held flowers to pick her up at the airport. After that, he often left early and returned late, always carrying her perfume scent, and he frequently abandoned me for her. I was furious but dared not speak up, afraid that Oliver would leave me. I even fed him hangover medicine when he drank himself into a stupor over Victoria, worried he might get a headache, and massaged him all night. The next day, I would wake up early to cook him porridge. After listening to Hannah's words, my mouth fell open in an O shape, and I really didn't want to admit that the pathetic person she described was me. Hannah sighed. "So Lucy, you absolutely cannot soften your heart this time." I nodded firmly. "Don't worry, I'll go file for divorce with him tomorrow." After that, Hannah and I drank wine and cursed Oliver all night. The next morning, I was awakened by my phone ringing. I fumbled around the bed for a while, only to touch a warm chest. I bolted upright, my hand moving faster than my brain. By the time I realized what was happening, my hand had already landed a resounding slap across his face. Oliver was jolted awake by the blow. Blinking sleepily, he glared and snapped, "Lucy, what the hell are you doing now?" It was only then that I remembered, I was married. The man lying in bed was my husband. Scratching my head apologetically, I muttered, Sorry about that." You know, with the whole amnesia thing. Oliver stared at me for a long moment, any trace of sleepiness gone. His expression turned icy as he rolled out of bed. Having drunk too much last night without eating much, I quickly threw together a sandwich. When Oliver came out, his gaze lingered on the empty dining table, and his brow furrowed slightly. According to Hannah, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to prepare both Western and Chinese breakfast for him, and he might not even appreciate it. I never thought I'd be so love-struck. Back in my student and working days, waking up at 5 a.m. would have killed me. Pretending not to notice Oliver's gaze, I took a bite of the delicious sandwich and asked, "When are we going to get divorced?" Oliver narrowed his eyes dangerously. "Lucy, 3 strikes, and you're out." "I don't understand. Oliver doesn't love me, so why does he get so angry every time I bring up divorce? Besides, doesn't he like that Victoria? Once we're divorced, they can be together openly." Oliver seemed stung by my words and said darkly, "Lucy, what do you mean by that?" My tone was even colder than his. "It means a cheating man is like money dropped in shit. You won't miss it if you throw it away, but keeping it will only make you sick. Don't talk nonsense. Victoria and I are completely innocent. Don't think of us as so disgusting." I burst out laughing. After all those years together, their lips must have been worn out from kissing, yet he has the audacity to claim they kept it pure. Perfect timing then. Now that we're divorced, you two won't have to sneak around anymore. Do whatever you want, just thinking about it makes me happy for you. Oliver, aren't you thrilled? Then I dramatically covered my mouth, feigning surprise. "Oliver, don't tell me you've fallen for me?" Oliver laughed in anger. When the laughter subsided, he said coldly, "Lucy, you'd better not regret this." I chuckled. "So Oliver, when are we handling the paperwork?" 2 o'clock this afternoon, meet at the company." With that, Oliver strode off without looking back. I couldn't wait and went to the company at 11. Oliver was taken aback when he saw me, then his face darkened. "Are you really that desperate?" I shrugged. "The sooner it's done, the sooner we're free." Upon hearing the word freedom, Oliver's expression turned extremely grim. Without saying another word, he called his lawyer. While waiting, Oliver crossed his legs and stared at me without blinking, his expression tinged with complexity. I wasn't intimidated either and glared right back at him. Oliver curled his lips and was the first to look away. To be honest, he was exactly my type in terms of looks, but as soon as I thought about the things he had done, he instantly became detestable to me. When the lawyer arrived, he got straight to the point without any unnecessary talk. I picked up the divorce agreement and glanced through it. Oliver was quite generous, he offered me a lot in the divorce settlement. Instantly, the way I looked at him changed. No more pretenses, I'm a total gold digger. I've never understood those female leads in dramas who endure both physical and emotional abuse. If there's money to be had, why not take it? It's not like we're stealing. Besides, after going through a marriage, one ought to gain something. Since love is off the table, spiritual compensation had better be substantial. Seeing me stare at the divorce agreement with a radiant smile, the lawyer cleared his throat and said, "Madam, if everything looks good, please sign here." I nodded and had just picked up the pen when Oliver's large hand came down, covering the agreement. I raised my head and glared at him fiercely. "What are you doing?" Oliver's expression shifted slightly. "Lucy, I'm giving you one last chance." "No need." I swatted his hand away and swiftly signed Lucy's name, seizing every second. Oliver pressed his lips together, his hands resting on his knees unconsciously clenching into fists. After signing, I tossed the pen aside and reached out my hand to him. "Oliver, happy divorce." Oliver looked at me, showing no intention of shaking hands. I awkwardly withdrew my hand. "Oh right, just throw away all the stuff at home, I don't want any of it." Oliver gave a slight nod. At this point, there was nothing left to say between us. With the matter settled, I naturally got up to leave. Oliver watched my retreating back, lost in thought. The moment I stepped out of the company, I immediately pulled out my phone to share the good news. "Girl, I'm divorced." let's go celebrate. In less than 10 minutes, Hannah pulled up in front of me with her supercar. I left Oliver with nothing, and Hannah drove me to the largest shopping mall in the city. Ever since you married Oliver, you've been dressing like some ghost woman, long hair, long skirts, nothing like your old self at all. I laughed and gave her a playful punch. But there was no denying it, Hannah had a point. Staring at my reflection in the mirror, I almost couldn't recognize myself anymore. Back in the day, Hannah and I always kept our hair short, crisp, and stylish. Overalls and tank tops were our go-to. Yet in the camera lens, my hair cascaded down to my hips, dressed in a white blouse and skirt. If I weren't certain that I'd only lost my memory rather than traveled through time, I might have suspected I'd been given a whole new shell. After cutting my hair short, I changed back into my old clothes. This time, I was determined to be myself again. That evening, Hannah excitedly dragged me to a bar. According to Hannah, ever since getting married, I had obediently played the role of a wealthy socialite, terrified of embarrassing Oliver, so much so that I hadn't even been around to keep her company. The next day, we booked a luxury cruise. We trekked across towering, snow-capped mountains, went diving in Bali, marveled at New Zealand's glaciers, and even petted penguins in Antarctica. Every day, as soon as I open my eyes, all I do is have fun. Compared to the vastness of the world, those feelings and loves are too insignificant. As for Oliver, I still can't remember anything about him, nor do I have any desire to remember. Those past memories aren't beautiful to me, and I have no interest in digging deeper. Some people and some things are best left in the past, as a way to preserve the last bit of dignity for each other. On the other hand, Oliver and Victoria, since the divorce, have had no reservations and are inseparable all day long, sticking together like glue. Even though I don't pay attention, their news is everywhere, in the media and my social circle. From an outsider's perspective, they were indeed a perfect match. A wealthy young master and a privileged young lady, had they not been stubbornly holding their ground back then, there would have been no place for me in this story. A month later, Hannah and I ended our trip and returned to City A. 2 years ago, we had co-founded a flower shop together, and if we didn't return soon, the employees would probably go on strike. Recently, the shop landed a big order, and everyone was swamped with work. It was my first time being involved in the entire process, from initial client discussions to finalizing the floral designs, and then the venue setup. Though exhausting, it was incredibly fulfilling. On the day of the event, while busy directing the team, I accidentally bumped into someone as I stepped back. Instinctively, I muttered, "Sorry about that." To my surprise, Hannah ran over excitedly and called out to the man, "Uncle." I was utterly stunned. The man looked only a few years older than us. Hannah was calling him uncle? The man nodded politely in my direction. Upon asking, I learned this cocktail party was actually hosted by Hannah's uncle's family. Following the principle of keeping benefits within the family, all their company events were contracted to our flower shop. It's just that I'd rarely been involved in the shop's affairs before. Hannah assumed I knew, so she hadn't mentioned it. Holding a piece of dessert, I chatted idly with Hannah, our conversation mostly revolving around her uncle, Arthur. Suddenly, my peripheral vision caught a familiar figure. It was Oliver and Victoria. Oliver also froze when he saw me. It had been a while since we last met after the divorce that day. Victoria was clinging to his arm, whispering something to him while tilting her head. He withdrew his gaze, seeming somewhat absent-minded. Hannah spotted them too and cautiously glanced at my expression. I found it amusing. Why look at me? Did you forget I've lost my memory? Besides, we're already divorced. Only then did Hannah relax. She threw an arm around my shoulder and huffed, "There are plenty of men in this world. It's Oliver who isn't good enough for you. Hey, what do you think of my uncle?" Hannah had always enjoyed playing matchmaker, so I gave her an annoyed slap upon hearing this. I just thought she was joking and didn't take it seriously. The banquet was halfway through, and our duties were done. Hannah was about to say goodbye to her uncle when suddenly, chaos erupted in the venue. Before I could even process what was happening, A dark figure lunged forward, shielding me tightly beneath him. Then, with a loud boom, the glass chandelier crashed to the ground, shards flying everywhere. The fragments hit my legs, drawing beads of blood immediately. The scene was filled with screams. I caught a glimpse of Oliver anxiously trying to rush over, only to be tightly held back by Victoria. I looked at the man shielding me, Arthur. A wave of belated fear washed over me. Had it not been for him, that chandelier falling on my head would have done far worse than just leaving a few cuts from glass shards. "Are you all right?" Arthur's worried voice sounded beside my ear. I numbly shook my head. Hannah finally snapped out of it and helped Arthur up. His right shoulder had been grazed by the falling chandelier, leaving a long, bleeding gash. Seeing the injury on his arm, Hannah's eyes welled up with tears. "Uncle, you're bleeding." I scrambled to my feet, looking at him at a loss. Arthur glanced at the wound and gave a reassuring smile. "It's nothing, I'll go to the hospital." I quickly spoke up, "I'll go with you. After all, he got hurt because of me." Hearing this, Arthur turned his head in surprise and looked at me. After a moment's thought, he nodded. Hannah stayed behind to handle the aftermath, while I accompanied Arthur to the hospital. As I passed by Oliver, his hand twitched slightly as if he wanted to grab me, but ultimately it hovered midair before slowly lowering. Arthur was quite badly injured and had to get several stitches at the hospital. "Thank you for what you did earlier." Arthur chuckled. "It's what I should do. After all, this is my turf, how could I let you get hurt?" Even so, I still felt a bit guilty. Just as we stepped out of the hospital, Hannah pulled up in her car. I suggested, "Let me treat you both to a meal." After a busy day, everyone was so hungry they could eat a horse, so we finally chose a high-end Chinese restaurant. When Hannah went to the restroom, Arthur suddenly said, "Actually, we've met before." Seeing that I couldn't recall, he added, "More than once. The first time was when you came to the house looking for Hannah, and later you became Oliver's wife." I paused for a moment, then smiled and said, "Let me reintroduce myself, I'm Lucy, not anyone's wife." Since that day, Arthur and I have met a few times. I wouldn't consider myself a particularly sensitive person, but Arthur's behavior was just too obvious. Hannah noticed it too. She stroked her chin seriously and said, "Lucy, I think my uncle has a thing for you." My first reaction was denial. "Don't talk nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense. I've known him for over 20 years, and I've never seen him be this attentive to any girl. Anyway, you're already divorced from Oliver. My uncle is good-looking and rich, what's not to like? If you end up with him, we'll be family." Before I could react, she burst into laughter herself. I wasn't as optimistic as she imagined. Though I still couldn't remember anything about Oliver, I had been married before, and Arthur was so outstanding, it was me who didn't deserve him. I couldn't figure it out either. I'm so ordinary, what does he even see in me? After that, I avoided Arthur for a while. Coincidentally, work kept me busy lately, so he didn't say much. When Arthur asked me out to dinner again, I confronted him bluntly, "Arthur, do you like me?" Arthur didn't expect me to ask him so directly and was stunned for a moment. Then he said, "So you've finally noticed?" "Actually, I've had a good impression of you since the first time we met. It's just a pity I was a step too late. Now I don't know if I still have a chance." I lowered my head and whispered, "Arthur, I just got divorced and I'm not ready to enter another relationship yet." Arthur didn't push it. "I understand. You don't have to feel awkward about it. We can start as friends first." I can't deny that being with Arthur feels incredibly comfortable. Although I've been married before, that past is already forgotten. This is the first time I've experienced what it's like to be pursued and loved. After that day, Hannah kept finding ways to bring us together, creating opportunities for us to be alone. Life continued in this awkward yet bearable state. Then one late night, I received a phone call. "Lucy, where did you put the hangover medicine at home?" Oliver's deep voice came through the phone, instantly snapping me awake. This was the first time he'd called me since our divorce. I nearly laughed in exasperation. Seriously, dude? I have amnesia, and you're asking me? Besides, we're already divorced. Don't contact me unless it's necessary, and stop calling me so affectionately. I don't want people getting the wrong idea. With that, I ignored him and hung up directly. I thought this would be a one-time thing. Who knew he'd suddenly decide to send his corporate gala's flower order to our shop later? Hannah looked utterly confused. What's gotten into Oliver? He's not regretting it now and trying to win you back, is he? Don't overthink it, I dismissed without hesitation. Hannah, however, grew more and more suspicious as she pondered. I've heard he and Victoria have been arguing a lot lately. And it's been so long since you two split, they still haven't announced any marriage plans. I'd say there's an 80% chance it's not happening. I didn't overthink it. His business has nothing to do with me anymore. Hannah hesitated. Then what about this order? I smiled. Why not make money when it's offered? I did not show myself throughout the deal with the Oliver Group, leaving it to the florist's employees to handle the negotiations and preparations. Unexpectedly, half a month later, news of Oliver and Victoria's breakup spread throughout the entire circle. Hannah found out that after our divorce, Victoria had brought up marriage many times. For some reason, Oliver kept putting it off. The last time they had a big fight, Victoria went to harass Oliver's grandfather again, which landed the old man in the hospital. Oliver was furious and broke up with Victoria because of it. She packed her bags and went abroad that very night, vowing never to return. Everyone assumed this time they must have broken up for good. But I wasn't convinced. Those two had been entangled for over a decade. Even after marrying me, their connection lingered like unbroken lotus roots. Could they really sever ties so easily? I remained skeptical. After that, Oliver kept finding excuses to call me. Sometimes about lost items, other times sending me piles of inexplicable things. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Oliver, what exactly are you trying to do? The other end of the phone was silent for a long time. Just when I thought he wouldn't answer, Oliver's lonely voice drifted over. Lucy, I miss you. I was stunned for a moment. Oliver, are you out of your mind? Do you think I'm still the Lucy who would come and go at your beck and call? Do you think a few soft words and I'd come running to you like I used to? Let me tell you, don't even dream about it. The old Lucy was killed by your own hands. Oliver's voice carried a hint of pain. No, you've just lost your memory. You love me, and I'll make you remember everything. I was wrong before, I made you suffer a lot, but I swear, from now on, there will only be you by my side. After that day, he indeed appeared before me every single day, holding a pile of worthless things, asking if I remembered them. Seeing no reaction from me, his expression turned agitated as he tried to force me into his car, only to be stopped by Arthur. The atmosphere instantly grew thick with tension. Arthur scoffed mockingly. Oliver, she's already rejected you. Still clinging on like this is utterly disgraceful. Oliver's eyes burned with fury as he ground out through clenched teeth, this is between her and me. Stay out of it. Arthur shielded me behind him. Didn't you hear her say she doesn't want to go with you? Oliver ignored him, his pleading gaze falling on me. Lucy, I beg you to give me a chance. I'll make you fall in love with me again. I shook my head. Oliver, you've run out of chances. Though I don't remember what happened before, humans have an instinct for self-preservation. After the car accident, I remembered everyone except him. Combined with how he'd treated me before, I'm not a fool, I won't give him another chance to hurt me. Oliver refused to give up. A few days later, he moved into the apartment across from mine. Every day he bombarded me with excessive attentions. Exasperated beyond endurance, I considered packing my things to stay at Hannah's place for a while. Just as I finished packing, the doorbell rang. Oliver stood outside, his smile freezing when he saw the luggage in my hand. Lucy, where are you going? I looked at him mockingly. Somewhere I won't have to see you. His eyes darkened. Then he held up a stack of cards, presenting them to me eagerly. Lucy, do you remember these? I glanced at them and said impatiently, no, I don't. He pulled out a few slips and handed them to me. You once said that no matter when, as long as I presented these coupons, you would obey unconditionally. I frowned as I took them. They were just ordinary couples redemption coupons, yellowed with age, the writing barely legible. I held up one that read, "Makeup coupon, so? You want me to honor these?" Oliver didn't answer, but the hope in his eyes gave him away. I scoffed. He tossed them out the window. First, I don't recall writing any of these. Second, kindly flip them over, the final interpretation of these coupons rests with me. Third, when I loved you, they were tokens of affection. Now that I don't, they're just worthless scraps of paper. Oliver's eyes dimmed as he smiled bitterly. I know all this, he said. But I'm at my wit's end. No matter what I do, you won't even look at me. I just can't accept it. You used to love me so much, you just don't remember. If only you could recall. I cut him off. Oliver, have you ever considered that remembering might only make me hate you more? He stiffened, biting his lip before asking, is it because of Arthur? Have you fallen for him? I shook my head. It has nothing to do with anyone else. Simply because I don't want you anymore. I believe I truly loved you those 7 years, but you, did you ever love me? If you had, how could I have lost my memories? How could we have ended up like this? On the day of the divorce, you asked me if I would regret it. My answer was no, never. Oliver's eyes were red, and he silently lowered his head. As I walked past him with my luggage, he choked up and grabbed my sleeve. Lucy, please don't go. I shook him off. No. Oliver, I've already forgotten you. You should move on too. After that day, Oliver never bothered me again. Half a month later, he sent me a text. He had already moved out of that house, and my life gradually returned to normal. Then on an utterly ordinary night, I rolled over in bed, fell off, hit my head, and remembered everything. I recalled those 7 years, how I groveled and fawned, how carefully I catered to his whims, yet never earned even a shred of genuine affection in return. There was one thing even Hannah didn't know. Because of him, I once sank into depression, trapped in self-doubt. That accident became my salvation. Back then, caught in the thick of it, I couldn't see clearly. But after losing my memories and stripping away appearances, I realized Oliver wasn't all that great. I couldn't even remember why I'd loved him in the first place. The torment and pain of those days and nights now seem insignificant. Upon hearing that I had regained my memory, Hannah looked anxious and said, Lucy, you must not do anything foolish. That scoundrel doesn't deserve you. Look at my uncle, or at the very least, there are so many other men in this world. There's no need to cling to him alone. Arthur was also visibly tense, his palms red from clenching, his lips trembling as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. I glanced at them with exasperation. Don't worry, I no longer love him, and I will never look back. The two exchanged glances upon hearing this and both breathed a sigh of relief. In the second year after divorcing Oliver, I got together with Arthur. Heaven gave me a second chance to choose, and I treasure it dearly. Only heard that Oliver never remarried afterwards. Victoria had a whirlwind marriage after going abroad, and their child was already 1 year old. But none of this has anything to do with me anymore. The past is cleared away, and everything holds promise. I gazed into Arthur's affectionate eyes and kissed him. Darling, I look forward to sharing the rest of my life with you.